the cloud. Okay. Hi, I'm Jerry Nunn, and I've been working in LGBT media for about 16 years coming up. I'm so excited to be here with the cast and crew of Cicada, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about some really good topics today with the movie, and I want to hear about you guys. So if everyone could introduce yourselves, we'll go around the room. Matt Pfeiffer, you want to start off first?
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a writer, director, and actor in the film Cicada.
Yep. He plays Ben in the movie. Okay. Kieran?
I'm Kieran Mulcair, the co-director.
Director, okay. Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm Jeremy. I'm one of the producers.
Okay. And then Sheldon D. Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. Sheldon D. Brown, actor and writer on the film. I play Sam.
Awesome. I love the Sheldon D. Brown because I'm Jerry D. Nunn. I have the middle initial.
I came ready. We're twins today. I got the memo.
So the movie's set in New York. Can we talk about, is everyone in New York now? Or, I know Sheldon said he's in Chicago currently.
Sorry, spin drifts.
I'm in New York.
Okay.
Matt's on Long Island. Where are you, Jeremy?
I'm in New York, and I love that Long Island is not considered New York.
Oh, right. I know. Well, I'm in Manhattan. Where are you, Jeremy?
I'm in Brooklyn currently.
Okay.
Yeah, but Matt's not here.
I'm in East Williamsburg. That's new.
Right. Why did you decide to set it in New York? And talk about the creation of the piece as a whole, because I know, the writers and stuff here.
Yeah, so I'm from New York originally, Long Island. And it was more of a practical thing. Everybody was in New York, so the story is loosely based on my life, and my life takes place in New York.
Okay. So Sheldon, tell me about you did some additional writing in it. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so me and Matt go back to 2015, I believe, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, April of 2015. I used to go to school on the East Coast in Boston. I would often be in New York for gigs and whatnot. And so we met each other in New York and became close working friends and collaborators after. And he reached out to me in February of 2018 about this film that he's putting together, and that he really wanted me to be a part of it. And if I wanted to, talk about it over the phone. And I just happened to be in New York at the time doing a show. And so we got a drink at this little bar in Brooklyn, Syndicated. Didn't talk anything much about the movie, but just knew we wanted to do this, to do this project. And then shortly after that, when I was back here in Chicago late one night, I happened to be shot in a drive-by shooting. And it completely upended everything of just, will I perform again? What, just the physical journey of what it would be like to recover, let alone do a film or a movie. And was talking with Matt throughout the entire process, and him being very supportive, and us joking around about the whole situation, how freaking crazy and ridiculous it was. Had this new motivation to incorporate that story into the film, and it added a whole another layer of richness and complexity of having these two young men, deal with such present and significant trauma in their lives. And how they navigate that and find a journey to loving themselves and to loving one another. And so the story just, even got even more wind beneath its flag. And we started filming 2 months after me leaving the hospital. So we talked in February, went to the hospital in April, shot in July, 21 days later, wrapped up. And shooting, new scenes and new takes and editing everything in the process, but very, very, very quick. And so, yeah, it was just great insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yeah. Wow. Matt, talk about how, they always say true stories based on true events. How accurate is it? I mean, you change names, I'm sure, or tell me about.
Yeah, so actually a lot of the names aren't changed.
Oh, they're not changed. Okay.
Yeah, and I meant to, but it never happened. So my mom's name is Debbie, and my sister's name is Amber. My doctor's name is Dr. Dragone.
And your brother's name is Will.
Yeah. Yeah. But aside from the names, like basically nothing. No, I mean it's a few years of my life told in one summer. And yeah, too much of it is based on my own experience. It depends on like what was going on in my life and what was going on in the news, but this one particular year, Jerry Sandusky was on trial. And for me, that trial was almost a cathexis for going through my own childhood sexual abuse that I never had a trial for, and I never got to put somebody on the stand. And I fell into this pit of going to doctors and trying to find some, internal reason that I was having. I just felt like I was dying. So I was convinced I had MS or a brain tumor, and I was going to my GP, Dr. Dragone, too much. And thank God I had insurance at the time, which I just found out that I don't have as of yesterday. And they, I didn't have anything in the end. And those symptoms, most of them all subsided, except for one. After we shot this whole film, I was in the hospital the day after because of dysphagia, which Ben has in the film, because I actually really had something. But it was, yeah. The short answer is yes, there are a lot of similarities between Ben and I.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be such a personal piece for you. And yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine putting it out there. Has your family seen it? And has anyone who's seen it so far?
No, my brother's seen it, and that's about it. My mom, she wanted to watch it, but I thought she might like fall asleep because it would be in the living room, and she falls asleep to all these movies except Shrek. She stands up for Shrek every time at the end, and she's obsessed. So I'm gonna start playing Shrek when we finally watch the movie. She's gonna think she's gonna get all excited, and then I'm gonna throw in Cicada, and then when she wakes back up, I'll have Shrek again at the end. But she's gonna see it in New York. Well, we can't announce it yet, right, Jeremy? I don't think it's, but next.
No. It will be in New York at some point, and she'll come to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit later. So, "Oh, my childhood" is the funniest line. I love that when he goes, "Oh, my childhood." I thought that was so funny.
Freckle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can like, oh, so I want to ask, when you're not, so Matt, you were a co-director and Kieran's a co-director. When Matt was on film, or Kieran, were you directing then, or how does that work?
Well, it was largely a shared vision. It was largely me just being in service of the story as best I could, based on what I knew of Matt and the script. He blessed us with a lot of rehearsal and pre-production. So I was really, this is the first time I've ever directed anything. I've only acted up until this point, and so I've been interested in directing for a while, and then since this was the first project, I thought co-directing would be a good, much better idea than taking on that title when Matt and I had talked about it before. But yeah, it was basically anything that had to do with performance. I was in charge of. So I was just making sure all the actors were really steeped in the circumstances in the world of the piece, and rehearsing as much as we could. We were working with veterans to very, very, very new actors who don't even claim to be actors. So it was a wild ride from that perspective. But yeah, that's what is the term you keep using, Matt? That I was the Ben Whisperer.
The Ben Whisperer.
Ben Whisperer. I was officially the Ben Whisperer.
Jeremy, can you talk about producing the film and during a pandemic, how you're getting the word out and the goals of possibly getting in a theater at some point?
Yeah, that's actually crazy to like think about as a timeline, because that is exactly sort of what we've done. Is 2 years ago, sort of one summer, just kind of see what we had and shoot what we had, and that's sort of why I think a lot of it does feel so real, is because we just sort of played to our strengths and kind of let things happen as they were. So, we shot in Matt's apartment for literally all of it, so that's a very real location. That's why I think the dressing comes through so well. Just shooting this in general was a very all hands on deck kind of endeavor. We were like a 12-person crew most days. And we would have very oftentimes like 4 to 5 locations in one day. So it was kind of crazy for us. We were trying to shoot quite naturalistically and with these really long takes, very powerful, like kind of strong, intimate moments. But also we're sort of trying to balance this idea that, we had to move very quickly and we had a lot to do. So I think it was very much like everyone knew that they just had to get it done. And that sort of environment was really, really fun, and also kind of led to, I think, like a lot of the improvisation, a lot of the accidental moments in the film. And then, going out and trying to finish the film, we realized that there was so much that we wanted to add and so much more that we wanted to refine. So we had a lot of like random pickups here and there just to sort of add scenes that we felt like were needed throughout the editing process. And we finally finished right before the pandemic, like 2019, basically. And we were ready to go to festivals. We were going to premiere in London in March, and then that got canceled. And everything for the following 4 months got canceled. So we sort of didn't really know what to do because we hadn't like screened anywhere physical yet. And there was just like so much to think about in terms of like whether or not we wanted to go and still do festivals. And I think we were really lucky in that a lot of the queer festivals that we love sort of lined up all together starting in August, from then until now. And then especially as we go back to BFI in October. So we're really excited for that. And I think we've been really lucky in that people have still loved and supported the film across all the festivals, despite everything going virtual.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think with the intimate film too, it worked watching it at home. I mean, I really connected to it at home. So
right, it definitely reached a larger audience than I think we ever hoped for. Especially like Outfest, our first festival of this year. It was online. We did a drive-in. We did an encore screening. We had to raise the ticket cap. Like I think that was just so much larger of a turnout than we could ever have hoped for something physical. And obviously, when none of us are in LA, so being able to attend the Q&A and like really connect with people online was something that was really awesome.
That's great. I was at Outfest last year, and it's crowded and crazy. It would never have worked, so yeah. So I've been stuck indoors a lot, and there's a lot of good sex in this movie. What's the secret to making a good sex scene? Tell me about if you wore the sock, the famous sock that people wear when they have to be naked. Tell me about that.
Sheldon, you want to talk?
You really need a Uniqlo next door. No, I mean the sex scenes, especially in queer film, queer sex is not something that people talk to. I mean, that they kind of get a little antsy about it, or uncomfortable about it, although it happens and it's freaking awesome. And I think that there was a great deal of care being put into how we were gonna to pull this off. it involved a lot of intense discussion about um, what we're comfortable with, what you know, not only what we're comfortable with for the story, but what me as Sheldon and Matt as Matt, what we feel like as actors, what are we comfortable with, and I wish we had intimacy coordinator, choreographer. I think those are so important for many projects because, you know, when you're in a story talking about sexual trauma and then you're trying to do sex and you only got a few minutes to capture a few takes, the pressure ends up being on, and it's a tough conversations to have, but um, it involved a lot of talking, which created a lot of chemistry, which created a lot of trust, which created a lot of authenticity. And so I think that building that relationship and having those kind of uncomfortable and sometimes scary conversations mixed with a couple good socks here and there makes for a great a great scenes, and it's so fun to hear people really respond to it in a way that they feel like so much uh, chemistry and fire on set. Um, so that's always rewarding, and I think we look good.
Yes. And no, but so no socks. There was only the sock puppet. Just no wearing the sock.
I want some
Oh, there were
socks.
socks. There were
Yeah,
socks.
there
Yeah,
was-
we
yeah.
wore socks.
There were socks. There was coconut oil.
Lots
It was.
of coconut oil.
It was also the summer in New York, and we had no AC on because we were rolling sound, so it was
It's
just
sweat.
sweaty. It was sweaty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the whole thing.
Yeah,
And also
but-
Kieran, I think Kieran like ended up sort of becoming like an intimacy coordinator for us because we couldn't have one. And I think
So
Yeah.
basically the gayest scene ever because we got coconut oil and sweat on set.
Yeah, it was a
definitely.
lot of saying, "Hey, we don't roll until everyone's comfortable," and then just praying that everybody felt like that was enough. And
And Kieran had an ice cube. Kieran had an ice cube that he would hold, and he would just rub me down with.
And then he forbade me from saying analingus. I think one of the keys
Oh,
to
yeah, that one.
creating safety around sex is making it as technical and unsexy as possible so people understand. But I was forbidden from saying analingus. I couldn't say that.
Not a good word.
It was just too gross.
Tell me about the character of Ben, Matt. Do you feel he's sexually fluid or bisexual or gay or what? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, the character is very fluid.
Mhm.
In terms of like to put a label on it, I don't know if we need to do that, but he definitely sleeps with men and women and non-binary people.
Great. Okay. Sheldon, talk about your character and what you believe your character says with the gay, Black community currently. And talk about your character.
Yeah, you know, definitely want to acknowledge that, you know, for Ben, you know, and for many people, we are not a monolith when it comes to Black people and queer Black people at that. But the things that are explored in this relationship, in the relationship that he has with Ben, and the relationship that he has with himself, is something that many people have to deal with, which is, you know, how do you reconcile your own personal experiences with what's happening in the world around you and with people who may not share, understand those experiences, and how to negotiate that, which is, you know, for people of color everywhere, that's an ongoing journey that they have for themselves on a on a daily basis. And on top of that, you know, as a man, as a Black man in this country, I always say that, you know, you're always living in states of uncertainty, um, of life, of liberty, of of, you know, just so many things. And then on top of that, let's add being a gay Black man and dealing with your sexuality on top of that, and the uncertainty of who you are and how people view you, and will they love and accept you. That is the journey that Sam goes through, and he doesn't really know how to put it all together. And I think that's what I love so much about his character, is that, you know, we don't always have the answers on how to work through trauma. We don't always have the answers of how to work through uh, race and what that brings up. But that we have to be doing that work somehow, some way, and kind of just, you know, really trying to fight, um, to find some sort of um, some clarity or some sort of acceptance, um, with yourself and with others. So that's something that, you know, I think is really beautiful that you get to see, and you don't often see interracial relationships, let alone queer relationships, really that authentically. I think when you get those really nitty gritty deep discussions where it's like, oh shoot, we might break up today. um, but it's something that's so normal and so present in all of our and in every, you know, aspect of this country's history and this country's present. And so I think that's something that I really, really love, that character brought to the story.
Yeah. It also says a lot about parents of, you know, gay people too. And I really loved a lot of the moments with the family. So those were really just well written. And I think a lot of audiences could identify with it. So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so what do you guys have for upcoming projects? We don't have tons of time here, but what do you guys have coming out? I saw the Canyonlands a little bit. That looks scary. Sheldon.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so so a year after filming Cicada, I did a horror film in Utah called Canyonlands. We just got the cut this week, so super excited about that. We're hoping to distribute that probably maybe fall of next year. Things got a little delayed because of everything that's going on. And I'm also really super excited to start being commissioning and doing my own little experimental film project where I get to partner up with an elder and chat with them and get to learn their life story and make some art from it and give it to them as a gift. And that's something that's going to be showing on the Court Theater website, Court Theater Chicago, and this group called For You Productions.
Nice, great. Okay. Jeremy, you just came from set, didn't you? You were just out.
I did, yeah. Wasn't one of my projects, unfortunately, but in the grand scheme of things, I am sort of working on, hopefully, when COVID allows, some sort of shooting for some features, hopefully in 2021. Two indie films, both queer, which I'm really excited about, and I feel really lucky to be at this point where doing queer films seems to be a norm for me, and getting to work with those sorts of stories.
Great. Kieran, how about you?
I don't know how much we could talk about. Matt and I have something in the works, and Jeremy, and I don't know how much you could talk about. And then as an actor, I just continue to audition and keep my fingers crossed, and then audition again and keep my fingers crossed again. But I'm very excited about this other project. It's really good, what I know of it so far. That's why I don't know if Matt can speak more, or not. I don't know.
It's a queer horror film.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I get. Yeah.
We need more of those in the world. What would you guys just want to get? What do you want audiences to get out of this film overall? They just came from watching it. Now they're watching us. Tell them what you wanted them to take away from Cicada.
That it's never too late for me, before I made this, I felt like I was just floating and drifting and headed back into a dark place. And yeah, I came out late, and it took 17 years to tell my mom. And it's never too late.
Everyone else?
I would say probably that there is no defined path to figuring out how to deal with something and what the path is for you, especially coming out. And there's such like a journey and backstory to everybody's experiences, and I think this film specifically shows how you might never have the answer, and it just sort of comes to you in various ways one day. And this film was through a relationship that really helped heal that trauma. But I think just to keep your head up and to sort of, be ready to take what comes your way.
Yeah. Love. So wholeheartedly. Love yourself. All of yourself, even the scary and the dark parts. And love the people that you surround yourself with. And that will be so blessed to have that love from you and that love of yourself. Love can heal it all. I'm telling you, love can heal it all.
Yeah, we need it. Kieran?
What Sheldon said.
Okay.
Mainly that love can show the path for healing for people who are dealing with trauma. I think that it's when you have traumatic things in your past that are still haunting you. I think we all kind of approach this project with a real question, which is my favorite kind of art. That doesn't have the answer outright. But I think that making this story and putting it in front of people has taken a really good stab at just what might be that healing force, and I do believe it's love. So I hope people leave with that.
I love it. It meant a lot to me. I really resonated with me. I'm doing therapy during this pandemic every week to get through things and working on myself. And I just, sometimes it's hard to find a good gay movie out there. Sometimes they're just difficult to find. And this one was a really good one. I was super impressed. So I wanted to say congrats to all of you for your project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can they go and refer their friends to go to learn more about the movie?
At Cicada Film on Insta, and we also have a little website now, cicadafilm.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, probably the best places, and we'll update as things come and opportunities arise for people to watch.
Yeah, I want to hear about this gay horror movie. I gotta wait another year. But anyway, people can follow me at noneontherun.com. I want to thank everyone who watched the film at Reeling Film Festival. We're gonna see you next time. And thanks so much for your time and everything today, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.